So some of the things I will be discussing, I will start with introduction where I will give you some basic background, though you never had any background. So then I will show you some applications of it is useful as a temperature sensor. So in the conversion laser development, and then something called infrared quantum power detection. So something called optical memory concept, and then why we need nanostructure. So these are some of the things I will be discussing. So we'll start with modern physics. So we all know these atoms are building blocks of materials, and every atom has a central core that's called nucleus, which is surrounded by electrons, and these electrons go around the nucleus in orbits. So the atom absorbs light. So whenever it absorbs light, the electrons go from the ground state to higher orbits, and electrons stay in the higher orbit for a short period of time, and then they come down. So when they come down, they emit light. So whenever the electron drops down, they cut out in the energy gap that much they emit light. So whenever we say light, we deal with light whose wavelength is between 400 and 700 nanometers. So because that's the region with which our eye is sensitive. And though we say 700, some people can't see this far, but most of the people in general, they can see the whole range. So this is what we have, the nucleus. So these are different orbits. It's easy for me to pick circles, so that's why I put them circles. So these are the electrons in different orbits. So if you shine light here, if the electron is in the lower orbit, you shine the appropriate amount of energy, the electron goes up, it stays there for a while, then it drops down. So these orbits, for convenience, we represent them with horizontal levels. So whenever the electron is in the upper level, it drops down. Whenever it drops down, the difference in energy between these two levels comes out as light. So this is what you get whenever you record the emitted light as a function of frequency. So the y-axis is the intensity, this is the frequency. So this peak has some broadening. So this broadening is related to the lifetime of this level. So these two are related to something called Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, which you learn when you do quantum mechanics. So if the lifetime is a millisecond, then this broadening is of the order of kilohertz, which is the inverse of that millisecond. If this lifetime is a nanosecond, then this broadening is of the order of gigahertz. So this is called lifetime limited broadening, and this is also called homogeneous width. So you have a material, you shine light. So whether the light is absorbed by the material or transmitted depends on the following. If the light has a frequency f, then hf is the energy. So if the energy is sufficient to bridge the gap between this level and that level, then the electron goes to the upper level. So if the energy is only from here to this much, it's not exactly enough to bridge the gap, then nothing happens. That beam will be passing through the material. Or if the energy is little more than this gap but smaller than this gap, then also the light will be transmitted. So in order for the light to be absorbed, its instant photon energy or light energy has to be equivalent to that energy. So whenever the electron is in the highest state, whenever it jumps down, the difference in energy comes out as light. So this H is the Planck's constant and F is the frequency. Or if the electron drops down to this level, you see some other photon of that energy. So that's what you have. Probably the background is enough. And I deal mainly with rare earths. So these are the different rare earths. So they all have practical applications. So for example, this neodymium is used to build a high power laser. Whenever an electron drops down from here to here, it emits 1.06 micron. So that's called the Nd:YAG laser. So that's one of the high power lasers that for some time people tried using it to laser fusion research. So nowadays, this is another popular candidate. Whenever an electron drops from here to here, it emits light. So that also is useful in building a high power laser. That's more popular nowadays. You will get hundreds of watts of laser, though it has only 2 levels. So still it satisfies the required criteria for laser development. This is mainly used in fiber laser, things like that. It's very high power laser nowadays. You get hundreds of watts. And then you have this europium and samarium. So these are used in optical memory concepts. I will show you some examples how it works. And in this promethium is a radioactive element, so we don't deal with it. Only people in Oak Ridge they are eligible to use this. We don't handle that stuff. And this praseodymium and thulium, they are used to build blue lasers. There are fiber lasers, they are applied there. And this holmium, erbium, so they are used to build green, blue, red, all kinds of lasers. So for example, you have the optical communication which works at 1.5 micron. So that comes because whenever electron jumps from here to here, the difference in energy is at 1.5 micron. So you just use it in optical communications in fiber lasers. Or some of you probably nowadays you get the analogy cable, you have that 1.5 microns. And also the Bell Labs is trying another laser which works at 1.3 micron. So that's from here to one of the lower levels. So these are 14 in number which you saw in the previous chart. So these lasers you can roast them in crystals. That's the one which got started in the beginning. So later on people started using glasses because glasses are easy to make. So eventually from glasses people went into fibers because this will turn out to be compact and long lines. You get high power lasers from this. So our work deals with these rare earths, open crystals, glasses and fibers. We deal with all this. And some of them have applications in lithium devices and TV screens. They're all coated with some of the rare phosphorus. Of course, in temperature sensing, optical memory. This is something for future. It is still in the R&D stage. I will show you how it works as an optical memory. And it's also useful to develop lasers from infrared, mid-infrared, visible, violet. You get all kinds of lasers from this. Because it has numerous energy levels and they all fulfill the criteria required for laser development. So that's why these are popular. And I will also show you some examples. We have CD players. So in the CD player there is a built-in diode that works at 800 nanometer. So that actually limits how much information you can store. So nowadays we have Blu-ray DVDs. They use 400 nanometer diode. Okay. So this upconversion lasers was also used to develop that 400 nanometer for a while. So then people started using fiber lasers. Then the gallium nitride was in the market. So they're able to do whatever you are doing with fiber with just gallium nitride small piece. So it was changed with the gallium nitride. But this upconversion lasers, you can build lasers at unconventional wavelengths which are not available by traditional methods. Still you can get a lot of power out of it. So this is the infrared quantum counter is an indirect way of detecting infrared radiation. We will show you an example. So we'll first deal with temperature sensor, how this is used as a temperature sensor. So in principle you can use this for sensing temperature as high as 1900 degrees. So it is shown here only up to 15 depending on the material. If you take yak material, it will work up to 1900. So if you take lanthanum chloride, it will work up to 1400. So it depends on the host material you have in which this layer will go. And here we are going to show you some examples of fluorescence lifetime sensing, but that's what we use. In addition to the fluorescence lifetime sensing, people also use something frequency domain sensing. There also they measure lifetime, but some other technique. So, but we will show you some examples of fluorescence lifetime sensing. But the advantages, you can sense the temperature in harsh environments, and you can apply this wherever the conventional technique is failed. So this is not for routine temperature measurements. When you don't have any other option, this is one of those which you can transmit. So whenever we say lifetime, So in solid something else will happen. We'll come back to this. So let's say you have some atom that has 3 different levels. You excite the ions from here to here by shining laser light. So then these ions have an option. If they drop down from here to here, the difference in energy will come out as light. Then you say it is radiative relaxation. So if this energy gap is small, depending on the material in which this ion is low, it may just relax here by emitting phonons, or basically it heats up the material. So whenever it is radiating, you say it is photon, that's a quantum of light. Similarly here, it's a phonon, which is a quantum of lattice vibration. See, when you have any piece of material, inside you have atoms, they vibrate at certain frequency. Those natural frequencies are the phonons. So those phonon modes are fixed for each material. So that depends on individual masses of those atoms as well as something called force constant. So let's say you have 2 atoms, a positive ion and negative ion. There's a force of attraction, there's a Coulomb force, right? We define something called K, which is 1 over 4 pi epsilon. That K is the force constant. Similarly in materials, you have this force constant too. So these phonon frequencies, they depend on these individual masses as well as the force constants. So it's not so straightforward to calculate the force constant. So most of the time, people get these numbers by doing the experiment, by using the infrared spectra or Raman spectra. So in case of lanthanum bromide, the highest phonon frequency is 175 wave numbers. Come down to calcium fluoride, it's about 380 wave numbers. YAG, it is around 800 wave numbers. It depends on those individual atomic masses as well as the force constant. The same thing if you go to glasses. This fluoride glass is a Zeblan fiber material, it's around 580 wave numbers. If you go to silicate glass or even borate glass, the phonon frequency is 1250 wave numbers. So let's say this energy gap is around 2000 wave numbers. So you excite that particular level with a laser beam, that means you transfer some electrons from here to here. So this electron, instead of jumping down and emitting radiation, if it is in a like sodium borate, this doesn't relax radiatively, just non-radiatively relaxes. That much energy it transfers to the host material. If it is a sodium borate material, the rarest ion will transfer that much energy to the sodium borate. So that basically heats up the material. So that's called non-radiative relaxation. If this energy gap is, let's say, maybe 3000 wave numbers, it's a sodium borate host. The phonon frequency is 1350, then you need little more than 2 phonons to fill the gap. Then it becomes 3 phonon relaxation, or when the number of phonons increase, you say multi-phonon relaxation. That's the phenomena that happens in this between these energy levels. So this is called non-radiative relaxation. That means no light comes out. If this energy gap is, let's say, 2000 wave numbers, and the material is something like lanthanum bromide, so you need more than 10 phonons to fill the gap. So that becomes a higher order perturbation. So that particular non-radiative relaxation doesn't happen. So then electron will jump down to here, then you only see light coming out, depending on the energy gap. So in solids, excited ions, they relax either radiatively or non-radiatively. So let's say you have 1000 ions here. Let's say maybe assume there is no non-radiative process here. So 1000 per second are coming down. So let's say you have only 1000. How long they will last? 1 second, right? So that's called lifetime. So let's say 100 per second are coming down. You have 1000 here. How long they will last? 10 seconds, right? So that's the lifetime. So let's say if they are coming down at the rate of 10,000 per second, you only have 1000.